Thank you, Justin. I think it's on, isn't it? Oh, no. See, you're still gonna have a job here after May 1st. You just have to come to the meeting.
We all set?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we will reconvene the public session. We actually began at 5 o'clock and immediately went into non-public. But it is 7:05 as we reconvene the public portion of the April 20th, 2017, the Durham Board of Selectmen meeting. One in non-public, we reviewed several performance evaluations of various department heads, etc. We're not complete with that yet, but we've made significant progress. And in light of where we are at the moment, we will schedule another non-public at some point in the near future. But I would make a motion to seal the minutes of the non-public session as that the information pertains to reputation, etc. So I'll make that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, it is carried 3-0. Thank you. Okay. The first order of the public session is under appointments and announcements. And I would ask if Chief Bernier and Sergeant Meady would come forward. Somebody, you have a camera?
Yep.
You could maybe do it, and we'll have all three of the selectmen do it after we finish. I want to move you over here. I want to step next to the I feel out of place with my attire here. Okay, just my pleasure to read the following. On April 7th, 2017, at or around 8:50 p.m., Sergeant Meady was dispatched to Kings Highway for a report of a suicidal subject calling 911, threatening to commit suicide by carbon monoxide poisoning. Wolfboro police were contacted because the GPS ping indicated the subject was near the Wolfboro town line. While responding to the area, it was determined the caller was near Copper Crown Road by the golf course. While searching the area, Sergeant Meady decided to check the Class 6 road as he observed what he thought to be tire tracks in the snow. This Class 6 road is not plowed and is used as a snowmobile trail in the winter. Sergeant Meady exited his cruiser and went on foot up the Class 6 road. While walking with his flashlight, he came around a corner and saw a reflection of a license plate in the roadway. Sergeant Meady called dispatch and told them he located the vehicle and was approaching it. While approaching the vehicle, he saw a blue hose traveling from the exhaust pipe to the rear sliding window of the vehicle. He also noticed the vehicle was running. Sergeant Meady walked up on the driver's side of the vehicle and saw a male reclined in the seat, sleeping. Sergeant Meady contacted dispatch and told them to start the ambulance to the scene. Sergeant Meady attempted to open the door, but the vehicle was locked. Sergeant Meady knocked on the window and woke the subject up. It was determined through his investigation that it was a subject who was calling 911. The subject told Sergeant Meady that he had every intention of ending his life that evening. And this letter of recommendation for this action is presented to you, Sergeant Meady, for your life-saving actions on 7 April 2017, your commitment to go above and beyond save the life of the suicidal subject, your commitment and dedication to law enforcement, is an example to all officers of the Durham Police Department.
Good. Congratulations, Reggie.
Thank you, Scott.
Good job.
Oh, thank you very much. Thanks, sir. Thanks, sir. Thank you, ma'am. One of the more pleasurable acts of the Board of Selectmen, and very, very pleasant to be able to do that and have a very positive start off tonight's meeting. So, okay, next item on the agenda, switching subjects very quickly, is the Ethics Committee policy change request. And I suspect that is your opportunity to input.
Okay, Durham, 30 Weeks Road. Also chair of the Ethics Committee, and I submitted to you, I trust you've received in your packet, 2 changes that we are requesting be made to the current ethics policy. The first one is to replace 2 words in section 4 concerning the formation of the Ethics Committee. It currently reads, I'll read as it's stated now, appointees shall be residents of the town of New Durham. No board member or department head shall serve on the committee. 1 member may be a public servant. We are proposing that language be changed to 1 member may be a town employee, which was the intent when we originally drafted that.
Okay.
Okay. The second,
Anybody, just quickly, any board member have a question on that?
When we have this definition, Todd, of terms in the ethics policy, public servant already includes employee.
but it also
but you need-
includes board members
So
and
you want to be,
volunteers.
so you just want to make it specific, it has to be
Specific to
an
town
employee.
employees, which allows volunteers and board members to also participate on the ethics committee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that clear in other places if you take that out?
That's not what this policy says. It says no board member or department head may serve.
I'm sorry, say that
The
again.
policy says no board member or department head shall serve. So they are not
No.
allowed.
No, it says no board of selectmen.
Right.
Right. But, oh, I see what you're, well, no, okay. No board of selectmen or department head, but a member of the planning board.
Okay.
A member of the
Yeah.
conservation
Right.
commission, one of the library trustees, could, and also someone from the fire department.
Right.
In fact, we briefly had someone from the town hall on the committee.
It's okay, just curious.
I'm fine.
Okay, next.
Okay, all right. The next one is, we'd like to add a sentence to section 5, entitled inquiries. Currently it says, I'll read the whole thing. Individuals who have questions about interpretation/application of the ethics policy may submit inquiries verbally or in writing to the ethics committee. After review of written inquiries, and when requested, the ethics committee shall, in writing, reference how the policy relates to the inquiry. At the conclusion of the discussion of the inquiry, a written response will be issued within 90 days. That refers to our responsibility on the ethics committee. Next sentence, the ethics committee shall establish rules of procedure, making every effort to protect reputations of all parties. When submitting an inquiry, the individual certifies that he or she has read the New Durham ethics policy and that the matter merits discussion. The ethics committee advises but does not judge the merit of an inquiry. It is the responsibility of the applicant to formalize and submit the complaint to the Board of Selectmen. I'm sorry, I read that, and the next one is section 6, complaints. It's okay, it's good review.
There are, well, just quickly, there are no changes in that section, but it is a good segue into the section where you're going to suggest
Okay,
changes.
all right, because it sort of explains the steps.
Yeah.
Section 6, complaints. Complaints should be brought to the attention of the Board of Selectmen. Complaints involving town employees shall be handled in accordance with the procedures outlined in the New Durham Personnel Policy. Now, mine is very light here, so the language we want to add is the time frame for the Board of Selectmen to respond to an ethics complaint will align with the one outlined in the New Durham Personnel Policy. That is to ensure that when someone decides to go ahead and formalize a complaint, they would submit it to the town administrator, who would then pass it on to the Board of Selectmen. That's to ensure that there is some response. We have tried different times, this is the third time we've submitted this request. We suggested different timelines, and the board felt that they were too constrained by the time limit. So we're just asking that it be aligned with whatever the personnel policy says. And that really ensures that a citizen will get a response from the Board of Selectmen.
I'll just ask one quick question and open it up for other questions from the select board. The concern I have in the current wording isn't so much what you're trying to do in the intent. It is, if I read it, you may need to specify what part of the personnel policy you're referencing. And I'm assuming it's the complaint piece of it, but
Okay, all right.
just quickly, timeframe for the Board of Selectmen to respond to an ethics complaint will align with the relevant outlined section of the New Durham Personnel Policy, something to that effect, maybe, and I'm looking for what other thoughts are here. But when you just say one outlined in the New Durham Personnel Policy, it's which one? Now, I recognize that logically says complaint, but
Can I amend that language now?
if you can do it on behalf of the Ethics Commission or not, that's okay.
Anybody else here from the Ethics Committee? No. That is our intent
Right.
when we discuss the language.
And I may be the only one that's interpreting it as being a little broader than what might be intended, but I'm
Well-
looking for if anybody else has
Yeah,
that point.
I was gonna ask the same thing, if maybe, it's a little bit redundant, but maybe just restate that
Yeah.
section of the personnel policy.
Restate the section.
Yeah,
I guess-
in your
Our
phrasing.
intent was to remove any ambiguity, so
Right.
if
Right.
your feeling is it's still ambiguous,
Well,
we absolutely.
I think
it's only ambiguous from my point of view in the referenced section of the personnel policy. The issue that I might have, if you define a certain section number, blah, 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 of the personnel policy, that could change. However, there's likely always to be a complaint section in the personnel policy. So while I think you want to word it such that it is as open as you can so that you don't have to change it every time a small minor change or a big change happens in the personnel policy, you can do that, I think, by just saying to the complaint section of the personnel policy, or some such thing as that.
Okay, how
As
about-
outlined by,
I'm sorry?
as outlined by the complaint policy.
Or change it to say, will align with the timeframe outlined in the complaint section of the New Durham.
And so add in the
Personnel.
complaint section.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so I'll be back in 2 weeks.
Okay.
All right. And we approved the first
That's
change.
outline, right? Outline in the complaint.
So, yeah, just quickly
After-
suggested, and again, just
With the
idea, it's
timeframe.
not,
Yeah.
the timeframe for the Board of Selectmen to respond to an ethics complaint will align with the one outlined in the complaint section of the New Durham Personnel Policy, if I understand your.
Yeah, I would
Okay.
even put aligned with the timeline as outlined in the complaint section.
You wouldn't put.
I would,
Oh, you would,
Yeah.
okay, so just add
Yeah,
that.
cross out the word one, put timeline,
yeah.
okay?
Okay.
So, again, just a suggestion, I mean, if you
Okay.
want us to consider this, we would, but I'm just suggesting that you might want to,
Well, I think it's a good one, since our intent is to
Okay.
alleviate future
so
ambiguities.
if you bring back at that at the next one, we would be happy to put it on the agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Nope.
Great, thank you. Okay, next, just quickly, an unrelated thing, because I do think it's A, relevant to the subject we just discussed, and B, and important for the public to understand. I think for those of you who were here, or those of you who may have seen online the last Board of Selectmen, regularly scheduled Board of Selectmen meeting, we talked about Scott's activity relative to the employees and the ethics policy, having them receive it and sign off that they've received it and understand it. And I've asked Scott also to do that the same for all boards and committees for the town. And we actually handed out to the board at the last meeting, and my understanding, Scott has on file all members of the Board of Selectmen's signature for receiving of that policy. It was the old existing policy, but by the same token, that process is in place, and I want to thank Scott for proceeding on that, both with the employees and all the boards and commissions. So, and I want to thank the fellow board members for doing that. Okay? Public input. Yes, Dot.
All right, I'll add, as part of the public input, I want to thank you for doing that. And Scott, thank you, that legitimizes the ethics policy, thank you very much. And I also want to let the board know that the ethics policy is very much a work in progress. We are still reviewing it. What you have and what was adopted at public hearing, and well, we had the ability to adopt it, it didn't need to be adopted by the Board of Selectmen, but that was literally presented as a work in progress. We knew it had to interface with reality to know what the ambiguities and what the vulnerabilities are, and we were addressing them as they come to light. But thank you so much for doing that, Scott.
Okay. Anything else on public input? Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Anything on agenda review?
I'm good.
Rod?
No?
What's up? Okay. First up then, town administrator's report.
Okay, gonna kind of, a little rapid fire, but in summation, just kind of go over. I spent a fair amount of time just going through and reviewing several of our existing policies, and also making some proposed amendments to some other policies. So I'll just kind of go down through these, and I know the board's been provided these. I would not look to do any action relative to the policies until the next board meeting on the 4th, and would ask that if the board has any comments or proposed changes or amendments, typographical errors or any of those types of things, if they could just let me know, and I'll go ahead and track change those so we can discuss them at the next meeting. But we have our financial policies which need on an annual review basis to be reviewed and looked at. On the delegation of deposit and transfer authority, the only change that is in there is that I have added in the new employee that will be coming on board after the 1st of May. I have added her name to that roll of individuals to that. So that policy that's the only change in that policy. The fund balance guidelines.
Just the transfer authority, is that what you're saying?
Yes, yeah, it's down in the section which is in the paragraph
Yeah,
which talks
number
about
2.
who can make the
Number 2.
deposits.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then, you know, that the town treasurer authorizes those individuals to post and approve those. It's basically centered around the state motor vehicle payments, and also payroll, direct deposit, and the ACH payments. That's
Yeah.
an authorization.
There basically there is no major changes to what the other policy was, other than a update of all the names authorized, correct?
Correct. Yep.
I mean, are you ready to act on this, or are you asking for it to be waiting until the next one? or
No,
what?
I mean, if you wish to act on it, I mean, these are the easy ones,
Right.
the first 2 or 3 here, because
Right. Well, there's no changes.
there's no changes
Except for the
other than
name
that.
change, yeah.
Correct.
Okay, so,
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve the delegation of deposit transfer authority as presented.
we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Is carried 3-0.
And the next policy, which has no changes to it, is the fund balance guideline policy. This is basically outlining the fund balance and the levels in which has been the past practice, which is the acceptable levels from the Department of Revenue Administration. And previously, the town has maintained or would like to achieve and maintain a level of an unassigned fund balance in the amount of 8% of the regular general fund operating expenditures. That basically just, this whole thing just kind of quantifies as to how you get to that.
Right.
DRA allows you to be between 5% and 17% on that, so there's no change to this.
Yeah, and just for backup, for background, I should say, for Board of Selectmen members, I worked very hard at that number 5 level in 2014 and very early 2015 and into 2015. And the board felt at that time that that was an appropriate number, at least majority of the board at that time felt it was an appropriate number, so.
Okay.
You need to wait,
Nope.
we're all set? I'll entertain a motion to approve that.
I'll make a motion to approve the fund balance guideline as presented.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Right. Did you vote? Did you vote?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear.
Or maybe I didn't.
Well,
Aye.
okay. It is carried, all those opposed, it is carried 3-0. Thank you.
And the next one is the investment policy for the town under the RSA 41:9. And that speaks to the different funds which are maintained and how those are actually handled. Authorization of investments is in there as well. The diversification and also the maturities as to how they are handled through that process as well. It's all governed under the state statute and also defines the town treasurer's duties under RSA 41:29. There is no changes to this policy as well. It does talk about how our practices are, our written procedures. I think over the past now a little over a year, we've done quite a bit as far as making sure that everything is kept up to date and current relative to our policies and how we manage our funds going through. And the trustee of trust funds, of course, is very active as well. So
There are no changes to the prior policy.
no change.
Again, do we need to have any more time, or are you ready to act on this? I will have one suggested change. In fact, if we act on it tonight, it will need to change, and that is on page 5 of 5. The last line should now read April 20th, 2017.
I did correct the other two.
I saw that,
as
yeah,
well.
I saw that. That was as presented, so.
I'll make a motion to approve the investment policy as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Sorry, before you second. You can't do it as presented
Oh,
because.
as amended.
Okay,
Yep.
all right, will you second that?
A second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Any, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried. Those opposed? Yeah, I have a hard hearing.
Did Rod second?
Those opposed?
I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those opposed, it's carried 3-0. Thank you.
Okay. Wow, moving right along. Just knocked 3 things off of you, May 4th. That's great. Policies for review with proposed amendments that I've put together. One is on the employee hiring policy. I have made a, in track change format, a couple changes to that. The first one being on let's see, procedures, number 3. I changed that the applicant shall submit a completed application with supporting documentation, i.e. documentation of the required education certification as required, resume, etc., to the town administrator. See Appendix A, which happens to be the employment application. Town administrator shall forward the application and/or resumes to the appropriate department heads for review in cases, and this is an add-on, in cases of department heads, the town administrator will distribute to the Board of Selectmen.
Let me make a couple of
yes.
comments here. This, philosophically, I have the belief, and I sense, although they have not formally expressed it, but I sense that my fellow selectmen would agree. Philosophically, we pay the town administrator and others to do a job. And with the skill levels as they are currently, which I think are very, very strong, I think this is an appropriate change. Historically, the board has really looked at almost all applications for all positions, regardless of any department or any level. And that still may be appropriate in some public safety or other areas, and that still may be appropriate, but this at least provides, I think, the mechanism to move forward on the philosophy that we pay the town administrator to do their job and expect him to do the job. He's shown very good qualifications to be able to perform the job, obviously, and so I think this is an appropriate change. So.
Okay.
I'd like to make one change at the beginning of the last sentence, where it says, in cases of a department head, I'd like to say, applications and documentation for department head positions.
Okay.
So we'll run that by again.
So it should say, in the case of an application for department head position, the
Okay.
town administrator will distribute to the Board of
Yeah,
Selectmen.
okay, that's good. Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. Okay, you have that, Scott? I'll read it, I'll read what I understood.
Okay.
Okay.
In the case of an application for a department head position, the town administrator will distribute to the Board of Selectmen.
Yep.
Correct?
Yep.
Okay, you got it, Scott?
Yep.
Okay. Next change.
The only, let's see, and there was some renumbering that had not been aligned properly,
Yeah, so you've done,
Here.
you changed that,
so
so.
I've got that
Yeah.
cleaned up.
9 to 7,
On
10
that.
to 8.
So
The
that,
application itself, there's no change, right?
no change, I left the standard application there. These are the forms that we've gone in and employed since I've been here, relative to the employment background authorization release of information, and there's some other hiring forms that are in here as well. And also in your packet is the previous.
The only question on Appendix B is, this is the offer of employment to a successful candidate. You call the letter offer of employment, but in the first sentence it's conditional offer of employment. I'm wondering if you need to put offer of employment dash conditional or something like that.
I think I stuck the wrong one in here. Yeah, we have actually two, the conditional and the actual employment. Yes, we do have another one actually that actually says that we've done your background and everything is satisfied and you are,
Right.
everything's official.
My point here is that your title of the letter is offer of employment, and it's really a conditional offer of employment.
Yep,
So I'm wondering if you need to change the title on
change
it.
that
Yeah.
as far as the appendix B.
Okay.
So maybe it's offer of employment dash conditional or something. Appendix C is new, I think, right?
Appendix C is new.
And this is a release for background information.
Correct.
I would suggest on that main paragraph, You have, will conduct a background investigation, which will, I would suggest you change that to may, because you may not be able to do that, based on how willing the prior employer is. So it says, New Durham will conduct a background investigation which may include the review of,
Okay.
strike out the word will.
Mhm.
Right.
And again,
That's the
the
old
next
comp-
sentence, the
comp
same
thing.
thing is may, that the town of New Durham may contact and speak with.
May.
Mhm.
We will conduct a criminal record, so that's not a
Yeah.
problem. Yeah, so everything else I think is okay. Everybody okay with those changes?
Mhm.
Okay, and let's see, okay, that's.
I'll make those changes.
Appendix D is, you make those changes, bring it back?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, and next one is the appointment policy, town appointment policy, which is and I have the track changes in here as well. And this basically deals with the appointment of folks that are serving on boards, committees, and commissions. Is a real main focal point for the actual policy itself. There are a couple other appointed positions, such as fire chief. I think it actually may call that out, I think maybe in here as well. And in that appointed position under a state RSA. But this, I believe, oops, I see another typo. This really is dealing with the vetting policy, which was from 2007, that never really got rolled into this 2014, so there was actually two appointment policies that were out there. And with this actually adds in under section C on the appointment process for first-time candidates. It does add in actually two sections. One is adding in candidates will be nominated by name by the appointing authority at the regular posted meeting, and said nomination will be for a 2-week vetting period, whereas citizen input may be received regarding the nomination and vetted by the appointing authority. Now, a few things have changed, because now you have elected elected committees, such as your ZBA, Budget Committee. They appoint their own folks as far as appointing to fill vacancies that way. So this would pertain to them as well, not only just to the Board of Selectmen. And then second paragraph being that upon completion of the 2-week vetting period, the appointing authority may, at a regular posted meeting, appoint the named nominee to the board, committee, or commission. And then there's a couple other typos in here, because I had to take it, transfer it.
On number 5, I would suggest just crossing out whereas and starting that sentence with citizen.
Okay. And the only other change is that I took the liberty to add under letter F, under alternates, to add in or associate members. As you recall, we made a change to the Booty House charge for them, but I thought this may be able to be broadened by other folks that can't commit to be a full member, but they would like to be a participating individual. So I added in associate members at the end of that paragraph F. Associate members are appointed to committees which have them included in their committee charge, and it should be associate with an E on the end.
Yeah, with a D, yeah, that's one.
Associate members are non-voting members, but are included in the committee's discussions and communications.
Yep.
One additional, under terms, next to last sentence, membership is one word.
Yep.
Unless you want to put them on a ship and have the members go somewhere else, I'm not sure. But
Yep. Yeah, that was that.
you don't like my humor? No. Okay. You
So
want
those
to
are,
That's it.
I'll make those type of
make those changes unless,
changes there, but
Just,
yes.
sorry to be tedious, but explain to me the vetting process. What, actually what that word means in this context.
From what I understand, is a meeting would be that if, since someone may not know, if in fact there's been something that's transpired in the community that, somebody may feel is, they're not a, good candidate, for the committee, that they could voice that concern, to the committee. Generally, it's drafted either through the town administrator to get to the chair or to the chair directly, that way. That's what I understand about it. This is the first I've run into it is in this community here, but, Swen's may be able to speak to what he's been, experienced as far as the historical piece of his time on the board, but it has even been extended to hiring, but you notice that the hiring policy does not have that in there. And when I went to the hiring policy, even though the appointing policy had been influencing part of that process in the hiring policy, it was not there. So we've been actually doing that in hiring, but hiring, we do all this extensive, HR background type of checks and balances. Whereas somebody who is volunteering to serve on a committee, nobody really knows. I mean, there's certain things in place, as you may recall from years ago, even where like folks that are gonna serve on the rec commission, they go through that process of the checks, that they do, the record checks for being around children and make sure they're not a sex offender and that kind of stuff. But other committees and boards don't have that same situation. And there may be somebody that wanted to serve on conservation or zoning, and maybe they've been a bad person in their environmental care, or a land use issues may develop.
So when you hear that, if it just comes from, like if I come down and repeat some gossip, who I'll use the term, who vets that? Who examines it to find out if there's any truth to it?
The appointing authority has a responsibility to vet that, to verify that.
Yeah,
How
I
do
mean,
they,
the
how do they
committee,
do that?
That's up to them.
yeah.
In the 4 years that I've served on the board, I won't say that we've never received a comment from, because we have, but it's never been substantiated and never been sufficient. Outside of, an outside, I have to be careful how I say this here. An outside comment has never been sufficient to negate an appointment that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Okay,
So volunteers are being interviewed by the committee that they wish to serve on. And then the committee
nominates.
nominates them to the Board of Selectmen,
Well, whoever.
or
if-
the appointing authority.
Right, yeah.
Okay?
So I'll make those corrections and,
Come back at it?
yep.
Okay.
And then the other one that has had some amendments is a purchasing policy for consideration. And basically, this is just to put a little bit of an aligning with other communities that have made some adjustments. I don't know if I would call it inflationary adjustments or just business. These are actually, you may not be able to see them on your photocopy.
Yeah, I don't know
because
where
of
you
the
made
highlights.
changes on this one, right?
They were highlighted versus being track changes, but if you go to section 7, which is purchase levels,
Yeah.
and the changes on the purchase levels for that is in section A, the purchase level for department heads actually is 2,500. Previously, it had been 1,500. And then purchase on letter B purchase levels between 2501 and 5,000. The purchase order could be authorized by the town administrator. Previously, the cutoff on that one was 3,000. And then on letter C, then it changes it to $5,001 to 15,000 would be then the purchase order issuance by the
That one has not changed, right? The 15, I think, was what, 15 is what used to be there, I think.
3,000 for
No,
selectmen.
For
See,
C,
it was 3,000?
I believe it was 3,000.
Okay.
I could sign up to 3,000.
yeah.
1,500.
But 15,000 what I'm talking
Oh,
about.
yes.
That one has not changed.
That has
The upper
not
level.
Okay.
Yeah, I left that the same in that situation. Yeah, some communities have gone up now to like 25,000 before they actually go out to doing competitive bids, but as far as publishing it. I find that lots of times we end up publishing it because sometimes it's an unknown unless we've had some good information. I mean, I just posted just to see what our numbers are gonna be relative to the lawn care and landscape maintenance. Even though we've got preliminary prices for budget, you know, I've kind of been a little bit more inclusive as far as getting some other numbers in there as well, like for fertilization that we can't do ourselves now. That has to be done by a certified person. So we need to know what those numbers are and how it compares to our staff. So.
Were there any other changes?
There was no other changes in that. We've made some changes in the past year to that, actually last year, and that
There
was
is-
dealing with some.
You reference under D, you reference section 8A or section 8B. I don't know where those are.
Section 8A and B,
They don't exist.
they don't exist.
So you might want to
That's
go back and
bulk
take a look at that.
purchasing. I will see if I can go back through them and see if those were eliminated.
The other thing, I mean, it's kind of understood, but you may want to make a statement. As an example in C, the 5,001 to 15,000, you talk about true quotations along with recommendation to the Board of Selectmen, should be capitalized, by the way, for the Board of Selectmen's approval. That therefore implies that they have that authorization to approve, but you don't have that statement in 15,001 and above. So you might want to make a statement on that too, that, you know, board authorization, you know, is anything above 15. You might want to make an explicit statement to that effect.
Okay,
Board authorization is for anything over $5,001, or some such thing as that. You cover it under 5,001 to 15, but it's not really covered above 15 in the current,
Gotcha.
in the current phrasing.
yeah, and that should probably be clarified that, well, it says that estimated cost in excess of $15,001 shall be a bid pursuant to the competitive
Right.
bid procedure.
Which is not 8A and 8B, and 8A and B
Yeah, and
aren't that
the
anyway.
competitive-
I think it's 9, but
I think it actually is
but
supposed
it's
to be.
not A or B either, but
It's supposed to be 9 because that outlines the
Yeah.
competitive bid
Right.
process, which,
So that section 8A and B would be in the procurement guidelines then, would it not?
no. I think section 8A and 8B should read section 9.
should say section 9.
Okay.
But again, you should go back and review that to make sure it's correct and then work on those other things.
Okay.
Anything else? Scott?
No.
Scott, you have anything else on it?
No.
Those are the main changes, right? Everything else is more or less the same. So you'll bring that back at the next one. Okay?
Okay, and then new policies for your review for adoption. That would be a policy, statement of policy for sale of town property. And that would kind of outline a little bit of the tax deeded, when you go through to do the tax deeded property and the sale, just to give what is it basically reflects the statutory process that ends up happening under the statute. Going through, and then of course you see that there's a list form that's there as well. I basically templated it off of the one that was in Molten Borough that way, but something for you to look at for
I
consideration.
mean, just as an FYI, when we looked at this in 2014, not so much the policy, but when we were pushing ahead on sale of town property at that time, we developed a process, although we didn't develop a policy for that process, we developed a process. So you might want to go back and take a look at what we were looking at then. Should have been something around anywhere from about mid-2014 to January 2015 in that of that period.
Okay. All right.
We'll come back at it with that?
Yep.
Okay.
And then the, another one actually is a statement of policy dealing with disposal of project byproducts and materials. This is, as I classically call a disposal agreement. This would allow for the Public Works Department, if in fact they are doing a project in a certain area or neighborhood or section of town, and it's more feasible, either for efficiency and cost to, if they have byproduct from the project itself, which could be anything from wood chips to ditching material to wood, to be able to allow for residents openly to everybody in the community can make application to the Board of Selectmen that they are willing to accept any of these or define whichever ones they are willing to accept those should a project be in their neighborhood. So what ends up happening is a disposal agreement is filled out by a resident or property owner and then given to the Board of Selectmen. You sign off that, okay, that's fine. And if in fact there's a project in that area, for an example, if they're out at Kings Highway and they're doing a ditching operation out there and it makes more sense that somebody has an area that they want to fill in, for an example, and they can accept that byproduct, that it can be left at that individual's property as long as they have secured a permission slip or a disposal agreement from the Board of Selectmen, so that it's not the DPW picking, other than to have a list of who is in that neighborhood, contact them, say, can you accept some fill, because it's too costly for us to haul it all the way back over to off of Stockbridge Corner or off of Berry Road, and it makes more sense to get rid of it over that way, to do that. And it
Sounds
takes the political piece out for.
That sounds good, but what about the timing? I mean, if the DPW fellows are digging up the ditch and there's piles of dirt.
Right. Yeah, we would have
Is
to
it
have.
just gonna sit there, or are they gonna have to truck it away and bring it back? I don't know.
Right, so what would end up happening is, if in fact this policy is out, it would be something that we would try to publicize and let the public know that it's available, so to speak. I mean, there's no guarantee that it's coming your way or there's a project in your neighborhood. I used to get people, they would fill out a permit and it would be good for 4 or 5 years, if in fact, and the DPW would always contact them. They had a master sheet with all the names, addresses, and phone numbers and what the products were that they would be willing to accept on their property. Sometimes things change, but there is a time period to sunset. These are either for 1 year from the time in which they're signed, or they can be written out for a longer period of time. That's what they use for a resource list. If they don't have one, then they have to take it back to our facility.
How do you put the information out in advance?
We could certainly do it, through the website, through a publication in the newspaper, on the media side, and just let folks know as a courtesy to try to get that out, or if it was in a newsletter that went out, that is happening. And it virtually could happen anywhere in town, because highway, maintenance operations do entail, a fair amount of drainage and shoulder work that ends up happening. So there can be a large abundance of fill for that purpose. Now, we do take some back to to the highway pit there, and they do screen that out and use it for, you know, if they have a project for slopes and things of that, but you can only take so much of it, and the other part of it becomes whether it's cost effective to haul it all the way back from Kings Highway to there. Really doesn't. If it's in the neighborhood of our own pit, they'll be taking it back to the pit, unless they have an overabundance of it. So that's what this is.
I really like the idea. I just keep thinking that someone's gonna show up in a neighborhood to do the work, and then one of the neighbors is at that point gonna say, gee, I'd like to take that.
Right.
And they've gotta go get a permit
Right.
or whatever, and it just seems like it's
Yeah, and I mean.
we're gonna need to expedite that. It's not a bad idea, but
And we've had those situations happen. The biggest thing is trying to publicize when work's happening and being able to do that. And that's why I really, the new website will, as far as the redesign of it, will really be up and running in and around mid-June. And I would really love to have people sign up for those news and announcements. So we can put that out, kind of, it's like an email blast that ends up going out. Plus we'll have the ability to also send that information out through approved social media outlets, such as the rec department, police department, which have, you know, like Facebook pages, or if they have a Twitter account, or I'm not that familiar with Twitter, but if they have something like that, then we could get it out as far as a communication blast. So that folks know, so they can get in to sign it. The only thing that you may consider is, and, you know, once again, it was a board of selectmen that issued them in my previous community, whether or not you wanted to allow the authorization to be the town administrator to do that. It was basically to take it away from anybody playing favorites. So somebody feeling like they were getting something that somebody else wasn't. That this is would be offered to every property owner in New Durham as something that they could receive if they wish.
yeah, who's the arbiter if two neighbors submit?
Well, we can take a little bit here and a little bit there. You know, that's what,
Half-half.
and that we used to do that, you know, I mean, load here, load there, you know, try to be as fair as we could. Sometimes people, where they wanted to have it put, we couldn't actually physically get in there, you know, and do that. So but it's communication and working with the property owners.
And that's a little bit costly, I suppose.
Yeah, it's costly if you have.
Our guys are moving the stuff around.
Yeah, if we're moving it, and sometimes time is of the essence. So that's something for your
Okay,
consideration.
so, you know, take a look at it, think about it, we'll come back at it at the next meeting and.
Yeah, it's completely new. And then the other thing for consideration that you may want to look at, actually I've been seeing a lot of communications about this since, is the select board operational guidelines. It basically kind of is a little bit of a handbook that's been developed. This one actually, a lot of this material actually came from the town of Lee. They had one. I've seen several being circulated over the last few weeks that way. So, but it gives some guidelines for new board members coming on as to their duties and responsibilities, and also some ethical and applications as well, and relationships within media outlets, civic organizations, other members of the board, staff. But it's basically a conduct and general rule process. I think for me, I think it's a great document, because I would hate to come onto a board and think that I was okay in what I was doing, because you know, you thought it was acceptable, and then you find out, uh-oh, sorry, you know. So I think it's a nice guideline. I think it'd be helpful. I think it shows the public that you know, responsible.
I read through it, it's very comprehensive, a lot of good information in there.
So something for you to chew on. If you see other things you'd like to change, add, or otherwise, send them to me, and I'll put them in track changes so we can discuss them at the next meeting.
Okay,
Okay.
before you go on to the next one, I want to interrupt for one piece, which I really should have done during public input, but We had a request during one public input of a meeting or two ago relative to what it cost the town for, or what the town saved in this case, for a change in hours of the solid waste facility. And Scott had asked you to work something up, and you did. I do want to give that information back to the public, because it was on a public input that was given. To change the hours to what it used to be would be about a $10,120 a year cost to the town. So the town saves $10,120 under the current hour system. So just FYI. Sorry.
Can I have one point of this? Is this available to the general public?
Excuse me.
Someone
Yes, it would.
is, I
Yeah,
mean,
we-
before we accept it?
Yeah, it's actually in the green book up there from your packet. I put everything in there, except for the
No,
non.
I'm talking for the general public to read through
Sure.
what the select board operation guidance, they may have suggestions.
Yep, if anybody wants to take a look at it in further detail, or would like to have a copy of it, certainly we can help them out with that.
Okay.
It is available. I try to put it up in there for the packet of information. You'll also notice, the other thing was, as I start to redo these, the town administrator's report in the new format, it will, there'll also be this document that I prepare for you, absent, and I'll redact out any non-public stuff, but just to give the public a flavor as to the type of stuff that I produce for you folks, and trying to give you the information, so I have included that in there as well. So if there's anything of a confidential nature, I'll make sure that I put that in the cover of confidential memo.
Okay. Next to the purchase order.
Yeah, the purchase order item is kind of a housekeeping item. I had talked with Chairman Swenson in regards to it. Just want to try to memorialize it relative to a purchase order, because it is a gross expenditure to a certain extent, even though there's unanticipated revenue funds that are applied in order to make the...
It's unexpected expenditure
Right.
to go along with
yeah.
unexpected revenue.
Unexpected, yeah, exactly. In the background on this, as I mentioned in my memo, is dealing with a damage to a plow truck during the blizzard event, where a tree ended up causing some damage to the side of the vehicle. So we sent it out to get the quotes and submitted it to our insurance. And our insurance company has provided us a check less the deductible. So the total dollar amount for the repair is $3,784.53. And the insurance company has provided us revenue, or a unanticipated revenue for the unanticipated claim of $2,733.97. We would be responsible for the $1,000 of the deductible, plus $50.56, which was not covered as part of the Primex computing of the body work. They apparently didn't include something in their software there, so there's a $50 difference between the low price of the body shop. So I'm looking to get a purchase order, which basically lines that out so that we can make sure that we authorize the transaction, because it's over $3,000.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyone want to make a motion?
I will. Motion to authorize purchase order 2395 to Colony Auto Company and Body Works, Inc. of Dover, New Hampshire, for auto body repair services to repair a highway department truck. Said expenditures to come from account number 01-4196-10-526 in the amount of $1,000. Account 01-4312-10-660 in the amount of $50.56, and the balance to come from unanticipated revenue by means of insurance claim funds in the amount of $2,733.97 received from Primex.
Do I have a second?
Second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Please carried 3-0. Okay. Next item on the agenda.
Okay. Next one that I,
Well,
oh, you have,
yeah.
it's actually yours.
Yep.
Sorry.
During the period immediately following the most recent election, the select board went through a transition, as we all know. We now have a full complement. By the way, at that time, in the first meeting, we did not have a full complement, but in order to have coverage for those committees that needed the select board representation, Cecile and I divvied up that accordingly. We do now have full board composition, and so what we had said at that time, we would revisit that at the time we had full composition. We do now have full composition, but we also have a couple of extra committees and commissions too to deal with, so turns out it probably worked out okay on that scenario. So, having said that, you see, just quickly for the public, the representations, if you don't have budget, if you don't have the agenda, the board member representations include the budget committee, the planning board, the CIP. We have new ones added. The Wolfboro Community TV has asked for board representation from New Durham. We used to have it. We went through transition because of how we were working the video, but they've come back and asked for again to have representation from New Durham, and so that's on there. And then the Cyanobacteria Committee, which for those of you who were at the most recent organizational meeting last Thursday, is forming as a collaborative between New Durham and Alton. So those are the ones that...
And policy review.
and policy review, sorry. Yep. Those are the ones that look for select board representation. Previously, before Wolfboro TV, Cyanobacteria, and policy review, we had not assigned that for sure, but before that, Cecile had indicated her interest in CIP. I was covering budgeting, planning board, both. Budget committee has not met since the election, so planning board, I continued to be the liaison there. Okay, so now we're open to volunteers, and I'm probably defer to Cecile and indicate, are you still interested in the CIP?
I am,
Okay.
and I'll also take on WCTV.
Okay, there was going to be a flip of the coin between you and Rod on that, given
Okay.
whatever your time constraints and whatever experience levels and all that interests were, so.
Unless Rod, you'd like it.
I have no problem either way, I'm just hoping.
I thought the new guy didn't have to get on any committee.
Who told you that?
Well, I did offer to replace former Selectman Gregory Anthus on policy, and I would do the TV unless you really want to do it.
I'm in Wolfboro, I've worked with them in the past,
Yeah,
so that's
okay.
up to you, if you'd like it.
I don't know if I'd like it.
They're a fun bunch.
Okay, a good fun bunch.
All right.
So what was the decision?
I'll take the community television.
Okay.
I've hated television my whole journalistic career, so this should be good.
You, what did you say?
I
I'm not sure I heard that
I
right.
don't remember.
I'm not sure I heard that right.
No, I think this should be good.
No, I mean, as I said, either one is fine, whatever you like.
Well, I don't think you'd want me on the budget committee, because I can't figure out my own budget at home.
Planning board is still
So I
there.
have Sharon.
Planning board's still there. And I've covered that 2 years, I think now. Well, 3 years, going 1 year when I was in the first term, so.
And budget.
Do you
I've
want-
covered
Are you
budget. I've
planning on
covered
giving
budget.
that? No pun intended. Are you planning on giving that up?
I'm open to budget or planning, either one. And the cyanobacteria, I think we should have a discussion on, but, I'll be honest, my experience and educational MBA bent is on the finance side, but I also have done, some things with planning board, which I've enjoyed, so.
Well, what we've settled, do we need to settle them all tonight?
it would be preferable if we do, because I think the budget committee has a May 3rd
May 3rd meeting.
meeting, and the planning board will be May 2nd, so, yeah, I think it would be good if we could do it. I mean, as I said, I'm willing to do budget and also planning board, but somebody needs to be on planning board for sure.
What about cyanobacteria?
That, I think we should be talking a little bit about. I mean, I've been active early because it has a significant interest, not only from some of the work I've done, but also, I have interest in the water side of it. But also, I know Rod does too, and you do too, so, the question on that, and I will comment, is that there are, those that abut Mirabine River have a very vested interest, which is a very positive. On the flip side of that, you have to make sure that you don't have a conflict of interest also. So that is just a question mark for and an individual needs to decide how that works. I don't decide how that works, you just have to factor in those factors.
Are you taking the budget committee?
I'm not taking anything yet until people wanna,
Could we just tell you?
you can do that. But I don't wanna leave the planning board short either, so. And I know you
So,
have a time constraint, maybe you both do, I don't know, but somebody needs to be planning also. And I don't feel like I should do that.
No,
Yeah.
I agree with that, and we've had, Swansea and I had a discussion about Joan serving on budget committee as well. And, while I understand that there'd be no conflict because of the way the both of you operate, I'm concerned a little bit about the appearance to other people in the community.
On the cyanobacteria?
No, but
No,
Oh,
on
on the
budget.
budget. Oh.
And maybe there isn't any.
yeah, I mean, I will indicate that I have sat on committees and boards where Joan was an executive of that organization. It would happen to be a pretty large corporation, but I have done it, but just as an FYI.
All right, so since I'm having trouble keeping track, so which did you want to do?
Of all of them, I think I would like the cyanobacteria. However, if the decision was that you would take either planning or budget and chose to take planning, I could also take budget. It's not my first choice, but I've served on the budget committee in the past.
So I would do the TV and the policy review,
Let me make a comment on the policy review, just.
pretty much done.
Well, that I don't know. But one of the things which I feel pretty strongly about is that there is a sunset provision in that charter, in that it was for a very defined reason that was formed and a very defined objective. And Scott and I have talked about in that charter what that sunset provision was. I don't think we've come up with it yet. Well, I have come up with it. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
you had mentioned it.
Yeah, I had suggested, I think, July 31st or something. So that assignment, if that comes to fruition as an agreement of what that sunset provision is for that policy, ends in July. So it's not a long
I
term,
see.
not a
Yeah.
long term commitment, so. In my view, we all have to agree that that would be the
I
sunset
would agree
provision.
that that is a limited,
Yeah.
or should be
Yeah.
a limited term.
So what we're really talking about then, if I take that as the planning board.
Well, it's either planning or budget, yeah. And I,
Planning board,
We are a fun group as well.
okay.
then I'm willing to do either. I have committed to the planning board to help them through the finishing of the master plan, which we've been pretty engaged with, but, and, you know, I understand the appearance of potential issue relative to two family members on the same board. My backup is that I obviously have a fairly strong input into the budget, on the Board of Selectmen as well. And those who have experienced the budget committee as me as a resident also know that I'm a fairly strong contributor to, what are you smiling for, Scott?
I like having you to my left at most of those meetings.
So the fact that I would not be on the budget committee does not mean I wouldn't be pretty heavily involved, but, so you know, it's your call.
Well, I don't feel as if I have the kind of background that would be really sufficient for what I think needs to be done with the budget. I mean, I did a lot of budgeting, but it was certainly not in the municipal world, and I'd really rather have more experience before.
Didn't you sit on the budget, or did you did not?
No, I know.
Okay.
I just had my own work, my own budgeting at work, which is quite different.
Maybe. You know, budgeting your revenues always have to exceed your expenses. Difference between profit and not-for-profit is the margin.
I wasn't always good at that.
Well, that's different.
So I would do planning, WCTV, and policy review, unless you really want WCTV back. What kind of a deal can we make?
I can take WCTV.
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
I'll do planning and policy,
all right,
and I'll buy you an ice cream.
There you go.
okay. All right, so
So we
we,
settled? Only one left is cyanobacteria. And, yeah, cyanobacteria.
We talked about that. I have that same issue. I have the 103 Merry Meeting Road little cabin. It's right on the river. So I'm concerned about it, but I don't know if it's a conflict.
Yeah, and I can't answer that. I mean, I think that has to be your view. I mean, I will tell you, let me
I
explain.
live on
Let
Merritt
me-
Meeting Road,
Yeah.
yeah.
and I've been there in that area for 40 years.
So you want to do it?
Let me tell you give you an update so far as we get into that. I'll give you an update so far of what I understood from, I went to last night's milfoil meeting, which, as you know, Fred Quimby was very instrumental in helping collaborate on the formation of this as well. And at the meeting on the 13th of April, what we said was suggested a composition would be a member each, Alton and New Durham, of the Select Board, the Milfoil Committee, the Conservation Committee, and then a member of the New Hampshire Fish and Game who had authority for decisions, and a member of the Lay Lakes testing group. I don't think I have the name quite right, Mark, but it's close enough, right? Okay. And what Alton did, they responded yesterday to Fred that they've appointed a selectman as their primary, and then they have an alternate member who will happen to be their chair. And then they also have the milfoil, and they're waiting to hear from the conservation, but they know they've met, they just haven't communicated as of 5 o'clock last night to Fred. So that's how they've handled it. And then the milfoil appointed Bill Meyer to be the milfoil committee representative to the cyanobacteria thing. And then we just need the conservation from New Durham and now the New Durham Selectmen. So there is an opportunity to have a selectman and then as an alternate member.
Sure.
That's a
That
possibility.
sounds good.
And what by the way, just as an FYI, I took the liberty to, since Fred and I were the ones that, and Scott were kind of the ones that coordinated the initial meeting, I took the liberty last night to say that since Fred was not the official milfoil committee member, that he now is officially a member at large of the cyanobacteria committee. So that's also a possibility. And I have no authority to be able to do that because the cyanobacteria committee hasn't officially met, but in my opinion, it very badly needs Fred as part of its
Oh.
composition.
Well, if,
I don't think it can move forward without him,
Yeah.
really.
let's do this. Unless someone would come forward concerned that I would have a conflict of interest because of the property, I'll go on the cyanobacteria committee.
And I'd be your alternate.
Okay? I won't be able to make any of the meetings.
Oh.
Okay?
But, you know, if someone raises an issue, that's the way it is. I don't happen to feel that I'll be in a conflict, but
Well, I live on Mary Lane Road, so,
yeah,
yeah.
I may be living there too.
Okay. All right.
Keep going to meetings.
Yeah. Sharon's gonna move me
So
out.
I'll do a,
Next.
I'll do a
For
letter
sure. Yep,
off to Wolfboro Community TV, just let them know
Right.
Cecile's gonna
right.
do that, and that should take care of everything else, pretty much. I'm meeting with Kathy Horowitz next week, so I'll let her know that Chairman's on the budget committee.
Okay, next we have committee nominations and appointments, right?
Doc is in.
Pardon?
Desiree.
Oh,
Could I just ask you to review, just for clarity, of who is assigned to what?
sure.
Just know what you've made on.
Budget committee, I'm in to be the representative on the budget committee.
Okay.
Selectman Doherty is the policy committee representative from the board. Selectman Chase is the CIP representative from the select board. Selectman Chase is the Wolfboro Community TV representative from the board. Selectman Doherty is the planning board representative. And Selectman Doherty is the cyanobacteria representative with an alternate as Selectman Chase.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? All right, next. Committee and committee nominations.
So you have a series of nominations that were taken up at the last board meeting on April 6th, and that dealt with the deputy treasurer, 2 conservation commission appointments, and also the highway safety committee appointments. So the 2-week vetting period has gone by. So those are in queue for approval if the board so desires. And then I have provided you a list of folks for nomination based upon their application and/or communication with the town clerk relative to other committees, boards, and commissions.
Sorry about that. All right. Go ahead.
So the
First one up is the
deputy
ethics committee.
treasurer. And I think I've prepared, oh yeah. Well, actually, I guess maybe I got the cart before the horse.
You want the appointments or the nominations first?
Well, I typed them out as the nominations first, so I guess you could do those first if you'd like, because that's how it's written out in the script,
That's not a problem. You can be flexible.
if you want to do that. So on the ethics, I can just kind of highlight this for you if you'd like. For the ethics committee, and I know Doc's here, so she'll correct me if I've got this. And I used so how I did this was, I looked at what Stephanie had in the town clerk's records relative to what had been there for their last appointments and what the expiration dates were for them. And then made a determination, because several people have been in a holdover status and had not been so-called reappointed at the end of their term. So then I basically figured out what that would be for them to carry on and/or like they were in a term, so to speak, and to do that in that situation there. And I know on the ethics, Joan had given me a spreadsheet as well, and so mine deviated a little bit from hers, but I don't know that anybody will have a real, I was just gonna go with Stephanie's, and hopefully I've done that right. But anyways, the folks that have indicated that they would be willing to serve and be reappointed was Dot Weisel as a member, with an expiration of a term of 2018. And then Ellen Phillips for a term to expire in 2020. And then Joan Swenson as a member to expire in 2019. And Carol Allen for a term to expire in 2018. Does that sound like I got that right? So,
Okay,
those
so-
folks could be nominated.
Could I make a blanket nomination here?
I would prefer not to,
Okay,
because I will need to abstain on one of them.
all right, okay. So I will make a motion to nominate Dot Bizell as a member of the Ethics Committee with a term to expire in 2018.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's carried 3-0.
I'll make a motion to nominate Ellen Phillips as a member of the Ethics Committee with a term to expire in 2020.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's carried 3-0.
I'll make a nomination, I'd like to nominate Joan Swenson as a member of the Ethics Committee, term to expire 2019.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I will abstain.
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Carol Allen as a member of the Ethics Committee with a term to expire in 2018.
Do I have a second? Okay, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Aye, it's carried 3-0.
Okay. And then I did have two applicants applicants. I did have two talent volunteer forms that did come forward after we posted the vacancies, and that is for Capital Improvement Plan Committee. Terry Jarvis and Bill Meyer had both applied as members at large for the CIP seat. And that's a one-year appointment.
I'll make a motion to nominate Terry Jarvis, member at large of the CIP Committee, term to expire 2018.
Second?
Go ahead.
Second? You did? Or you want me to?
No, you can.
Okay, I'll second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed is carried 3-0.
I will make a motion to nominate Bill Meyer as a member at large of the Capital Improvement Plan Committee with a term to expire in 2018.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed is carried 3-0.
And then I have the Parks and Rec Commission, and I have Dot Weisel for a term to expire 2018, and Patricia LeCurran, member for a term to expire 2019. I think I'm right on this one. Douglas Perkins.
Doug Perkins.
Yeah. Term to expire 2020. And Mark.
Detriment.
Am I saying?
Detriment, yeah.
Detriment.
I think there's an R
As a
in that.
member.
I think there's an R in that, so that's okay.
Okay. Oh, did I spell it wrong?
That's okay.
And a member which would term to expire in 2020. Mark would be new to the commission. He put a volunteer talent form in, so that I'm sure will be very helpful.
And has been in the past.
What's that?
Oh, I didn't know whether you were going to ask for,
Oh.
well,
No,
just that Mark
and-
has been very involved, very active, and
Okay.
very supportive in the past. Yeah,
Okay.
he's worked well with the commission.
Excellent. So it's been vetted through the
Okay.
commission. That's the feedback I got through Nicole too, was that was the case.
All right. Was there anybody else that had put applications in? Because I know that there's still empty.
Do you have one?
I put one in.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Wow. For whatever reason, I don't have it here, but,
When did you put it in?
a while back.
2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I apologize. I don't know why it didn't get to my plate, but
So does everybody know Andrew Hernandez?
we know your wife because she's a school teacher, and she jumped in the lake with me, so I feel that we know each other so well now that I was not in costume. I was not in costume, so I feel, but, no, that would, I'm sure it's someplace here in this building, so I apologize.
We don't, we can add that, what would be the,
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna wait till you were there. Well, just that I would say Andrew has worked, coached, and has been instrumental in helping us raise money. He has contributed money on behalf of the bank that he is the manager of, and has been very supportive of celebrating Durham Day, has contributed to the senior holiday banquet, has really worked closely with the commission, and we certainly would value his.
is there a date for the expiration? I mean, he's got his application in. What's the date for his expiration?
You know, in order to have staggered term, I would recommend to go with 2019 for an expiration, so it'd be
You
a
okay with that?
Yes.
2-year.
There's no reason, I mean, you'll look up, make sure we got the talent bank application, but
Yeah,
no reason you can't add it. This is a nomination piece, it's not an
yeah,
appointment, so
no
there's still
problem at
time.
all, and if by chance it's MIA, I know I can reach out to you, so, thank you. I apologize.
Okay.
So I will make a motion to nominate Dodd Vizel as a member of the Recreation Commission, term to expire 2018.
We have a second? I'll second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? It's carried 3-0.
I'll make a motion to nominate Patricia LaCurran as a member of the Parks and Recreation Commission with a term to expire 2019.
We have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed? It's carried 3-0.
I'll make a motion to nominate Andrew Hernandez as a member of the Parks and Rec Commission with a term to expire in 2019.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? It's carried 3-0.
I'll make a motion to nominate Doug Perkins as a member to the Parks and Rec Commission with a term to expire in 2020.
I'll second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's carried 3-0.
And I'll make a motion to nominate Mark Detremont as a member of the Parks and Rec Commission with a term to expire in 2020.
I'll second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's carried 3-0. Thank you for your interest, everyone.
Congratulations.
In 2 weeks, we'll do an official appointment for all of that, provided there are nothing that would interfere with that process. Okay, next is the actual appointments from the nominations that were made 2 weeks ago or more.
Yep, so the first one you have is for the deputy treasurer, Ann Brady.
Okay. Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to appoint Ann Brady as deputy treasurer.
Second? Anybody
Second.
second?
I'll second.
Okay, further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Okay. Those opposed? It's carried 3-0.
I'm still learning.
Who
Okay.
seconded, who seconded it? I'm sorry. Rod did? Okay.
I'm gonna change the date on this, because it's actually today's date, right? Not the 23rd of March.
Oh, yes, because
Yeah.
that was, Stephanie had typed them out, I'm sorry. I'll change this one before it comes. This one's okay.
Okay, next.
Okay, next one is for the Conservation Commission, you got
With two of them?
Ron Gale and Curtis Richard. So those
We need a
two.
motion individually.
I will make a motion to appoint Ron Gale as a member of the Conservation Commission with a term to expire in March 2020.
Second? I'll second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, it's carried 3-0.
I'll make a motion to appoint Curtis Richard as a member of the Conservation Commission with a term to expire in March 2020.
We have a second.
I'll second it.
All in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, it's carried 3-0.
Okay. And then the last cast of characters is the Town Highway Safety Committee appointment. That would be for Chief Bernier, and also Don Vashon, and myself to serve on that committee.
Okay. I'll make a motion to appoint Scott Kinman as a member of the Highway Safety Committee with a term to expire March 2018.
We have a second?
A second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, those opposed, it's carried 3-0.
I'll make a motion to appoint Don Vashon as a member of the Highway Safety Committee with a term to expire March 2018.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye, those opposed, it's carried 3-0.
And I will make a motion to appoint Sean Bernier as a member of the Highway Safety Committee with a term to expire March 2018.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, those opposed, it's carried 3-0.
Rod seconded all those.
Yes.
Is that correct?
No, I seconded Vashon.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thought there might have been a change up there.
Just come back this way.
Yeah, that's all done.
Okay.
Okay. Yield tax next.
All right, so we end up having yield tax assessments. We actually have, let's see, 1, 2, 3 timber and 1 excavation tax. These basically are tax bills that go out to, after the forester's gone out and done the analysis based upon the report of wood. And with Laura, they put this together as to what their tax is. So these are issued and signed by the Board of Selectmen as the authorization to invoice them, and the tax collector will do.
What was the process? Just clarify, what was the process?
So on from what I understand, on the timber ones, people put in a report of woods, and the report of wood then is looked at by the forester, the town forester, and they then put that, there is looks to me like there's a certain assessment based upon tons, looks like there's a stumpage value, and then on the different types of wood, and then there looks like there's also on the some of the other woods relative to tons and cords. There's an assessment there as well, looking down through. So it talks about what the actual total assessed value is, and then there is a tax at a 10% that's in there as well. So, I mean, it's a few dollars back to the town.
This is for clearing of lot, for sale of wood, or just?
Yeah, there's a certain
Or
amount,
select
I'm trying to
cut.
remember what the number is, it 10,000, no, I'm trying to think of what the actual amount of wood that you have to, after you cut off your property, that you have to report, but there's it's 1,000?
Yeah,
1,000 board feet.
or cords of hardwood.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So then they're required to then file or get a intent to cut, and then do a report of woods. So whoever does the cutting has to make a report to the town to get married up with the intent to cut. And then there's an assessment.
Really hasn't turned it over.
It's an interesting system.
It is.
Yeah, I don't understand it.
15th of May.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah. So I'll make a motion to authorize a timber yield tax levy to be issued.
One moment,
Okay.
sorry. There is either a misprint in your motion or there's a misprint on this.
The first one?
Yeah. The paperwork shows map 246, lot 007.
Well, you know, cutting and pasting. Let's just check it out.
Oh, sorry, there is a 256,
Yeah, there's a
007.
256, 246, and 243.
Yeah, but the 246 shows lot 007 on this, not lot 035.
246,007. And I had 35, so I
Right.
got them backwards.
So what?
I have them backwards, I'd say, because the dollar amount is correct. So on 246, that should be 007, I apologize, and then on the lot 256, it should be, I'm sorry, map 256035.
Okay.
Nice catch, Lance. That's why I need a proofreader. Hopefully she starts me.
Okay, so before you,
Okay.
before you proceed, let me just verify here what we got. So 243,035. That's that one. Okay.
Yep.
Hey, wait a minute. 56,007. So wait a minute now. I think you got it the other way around. Right. I do have a lot 256, sorry, map 256, lot 007.
246. 256.
Yeah, 246 is, so I actually have 2007s.
Okay, this one.
That's the first one.
007.
For 897
This
is
one
correct.
035.
That's right.
243,
Okay,
035.
That one's correct.
I think those changes are not
And then
256.
well,
246.
007 for 897.
And that's for the 1432.
243,
Yep.
035.
Then you get
That was
243.
okay. Actually, I think
This is
256, 007.
it's C that I think is not correct.
There's two, both of them are, the 256 and the 246 look like they are both lot 7s.
Right.
That's where I see
The original one for A1 is correct. The original one for B1 is correct. It is lot 007, it is lot 035.
C was
It's
in-
C, which has to be changed to
Okay,
007.
Yep.
All right,
All right? And
okay.
then just double click. Okay, this one, make sure the last one is.
21912.
Oh, yeah, okay, and the amount was 110. Yep, okay, I think we're all set.
You ready to
So
go?
basically, you're changing C to lot 007. Okay. Go.
Okay, I'll make a motion to authorize a timber yield tax levy be issued on map 256, lot 007, in the amount of $897.90, which is due to the tax collector on 5/21/17.
Have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's carried 3-0.
I'll make a motion to authorize a timber yield tax levy be issued on map 243, lot 035, in the amount of $53.75, which is due to the tax collector on 5/21/17.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, those opposed? Carried 3-0.
I'll make a motion to authorize a timber yield tax levy to be issued on map 246, lot 007, in the amount of $1,432.19, which is due to the tax collector on 5/21/17.
Second.
Any further discussion? All,
I'm just curious as to why there's two assessments on the same lot, I'm just, because I don't know.
Why what?
that. There's two assessments on the same lot?
one's 256,007, one's
Oh, yeah.
246,007. Different maps.
I changed it wrong.
Okay. The motion was 007 on the lot number, right? for that one?
Yes,
Okay. All right?
okay,
Yeah.
that's all set?
Oh, we still have D to do, yep.
D, yep. Motion, I'll make a motion to authorize an excavation yield tax levy be issued on map 219, lot 012, in the amount of $110, which is due to the tax collector on 5/21/17.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, is carried 3-0. Okay, so. There's two places to sign Okay, I'm going to ask that we push the tax deed properties to actually the last item before old business.
Okay.
And talk about the legal and audit firm selection next.
All right.
And with that, I just want to share with you, I just got in, actually came in late yesterday, is a correspondence from the Mitchell Group, pass those down. Walter just wanted to add about relative to where he lives and that he's close by as far as travel and so on. I just wanted you to be aware of that, that he's only about 20 minutes to the town hall from where he lives. Should he be the successful bidder, but would like to have that added as well.
Okay, we just put for the public purposes, some background. We had an RFP in late December, early January, December 2016, early January 2017. And in that RFP process, we had roughly 5 audit firms, both from, roughly 5 firms each, 5 firms of audit and 5 firms legal, bidding on the RFP that we had issued on those respective services. I felt that it was appropriate to wait until we had the election and all of that, so that has happened, and we had a full board complement. We had an interview process, auditors last Thursday, as I recall, and the legal firms, we down selected to 2 or 3, depending on which category it was. The legal firms, we had interview process this past Monday. They were open to the public, but they were in the afternoon, and we did not have any public, but they were open to the public. So what we had said is we would review the outcome of our thoughts after those interviews and make a decision tonight on the choice for both the audit firm and the legal firm. So with that background, I know Scott has made a couple of recommendations on each one of them. Sorry, 1 recommendation per. But I'm open to any further discussion. I assume both of you have seen that recommendation.
Yeah.
Talk about the audit firm first.
We interviewed 2 audit firms. One was a larger firm and one was a smaller firm. Both had very good qualifications. Both represented well. I think I connected better with one over the other. However, was very pleased with both companies.
Rod,
Well, I felt pretty much the same way. It was easy for me to settle on one each because of their presentation, my sense of the quality of their work based on the recommendations that we had, that were included in their packets, and of the people that I was personally aware of that they'd worked with, and those people I thoroughly respected, so I have a choice that I'm comfortable with.
Okay.
In both categories.
I think either firm would serve the town well. There was a price difference in the bids, and just FYI, 2 firms were Vachon and Cloquet and Company as one audit firm, and the other was Roberts and Green. Vachon and Cloquet, I'll talk about the first year. Well, actually, Vachon and Cloquet was level pricing throughout a 3-year span of $15,250 per year. Roberts and Green had slightly increasing pricing, but very slightly. It went from $12,004 in the first year to $12,009 in the 3rd year. I'm open to what your thoughts are. As I said.
I would like to make a motion to contract with Robertson Green for our audit services for the 2017 audit with an annual renewable clause of up to 3 years. And I think that dollar amount was $12,600. $12,400 for the current year.
I would second that motion.
Okay. So it'd be $12,400 for the first year. 37.9. It'd be 37.9, I think, for all 3 years, right?
Yep.
Am I adding it correctly?
Correct.
Versus 30,545, versus 45,750 for the other one. The, just further discussion, we have a motion from Selectman Chase to, for a purchase order in the amount of, actually it's $12,400 for the audits of 2017. The annual renewable clause of up to 3 years per the RFP, but, and a second by Selectman Doherty. The only concern I'll have, and I'll express this so that you understand where I'm coming from. There are some issues with our prior audit, in my opinion. These two individuals are former employees of that prior firm, but it has been several years since they were employees, but that's my only concern.
Do you know if they were part of the audits
They were not.
that were incorrect? No.
They were not. It's been several years since they've separated their relationship with our prior audit firm.
Does that keep you from supporting that?
It probably would not, but it's an issue. But it probably would not keep me from supporting it, no.
I don't know if it's appropriate for me to bring it up, but I would hope that we were unanimous in our choice. If we weren't, I would suggest we not vote and go back for discussion.
No, I mean, I can go along with the motion, I just wanted to express that as being a concern.
Well, then it warrants a conversation with them.
Well, I had the opportunity to do that interview, and I chose not to,
Okay.
just for some specific reasons, but I wanted the board and the public to be aware of that concern. I would vote for them, it's just I have a concern. And again, and the reason that I would vote for them is that there's been enough time separation from when they separated that I think the existing firm has gone through some
Okay, because I think,
different terms, so.
if I remember correctly, it may be 10 years.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, I'm not sure how, yeah, I think it may be that long, so yeah. And it's that reason that I'm okay with it.
Okay.
I do think the other firm may have a wider skill set, but I don't think we will be, I'm not concerned that we will not be fully served with this one. Okay? And if you look at it over a 3-year period, I don't think it's an $8,000 concern.
Concern, okay.
Okay? So, any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it is carried 3-0. Legal firm, again, from the public point of view, the same process as we've indicated. We down selected the 3 groups, all very qualified. We had some discussion during the interview process or after the interview process, and I know the town administrator has also made a recommendation here. Any comments?
I think, again, we interviewed 3 firms, one with, I believe, 32 attorneys on staff, one that has 2 attorneys on staff, of course, they all have support people as well, and one with 4 attorneys plus support people. Again, all very well qualified, all with good recommendations from clients in New Hampshire. Again, there was one firm that I think asked some questions of us that the other two did not ask. I was pleased to hear. And also got some good recommendations from individuals that we have connected with. Would you agree with that?
If you're talking about the Mitchell group, yes.
Yeah. So, that being said, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the town administrator to enter into an agreement with the Mitchell Group for the purpose of providing legal services.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
Yeah.
I actually concur with this. I think they, you know, I think, as I said, all of them could have provided good service for the town. I do think that the Mitchell Group had good answers to our questions, understood the budget issues that we had, and seemed to understand how to be able to address those, and so I would agree with that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? It is carried 3-0. Scott, you will, what we promised is that we would notify them either the end of this week or early next week, whether they want or not. If you'd be have the courtesy to inform all of them that decision process, I appreciate that.
Yep.
And then on the audit side, you know, the time pressure that you put yourself under, which is good. I think that's a positive.
Yeah.
So you'll arrange to make sure that moves forward in a timely fashion.
Yep.
Right?
There was a secondary situation relative to ZBA that I put on there relative to whether or not you wish their counsel to continue with that ZBA matter. And I provided you with the responses as you had requested from both of the legal firms.
The responses were what I actually expected from them.
Well, we need.
Having said that, it's early enough in the process for me not to be concerned either way. I think it could go with the new firm or retain. I don't think the town will be, nor the ZBA will be ill-served either way, because it's very early in the process still from the ZBA engagement side, so.
Would the current attorney who's handling that be willing to continue?
Would what?
Would the current attorney that's...
I don't know if you, I haven't had any conversations with him.
No,
I suspect he would be,
Okay.
but
yeah, I'm
by
sure.
the same token, as I said,
Mhm.
for me, it's early enough in the process. I mean, there's arguments to be made either way. It's early, if we were, 3 meetings in and, well down the road, whole different scenario. But we're basically 1 meeting in and a continuance on that. And it was videoed, so it could easily be reviewed, et cetera. But it could go either way on that one.
I mean, I agree with you. I think it is early in the game, although, I know how some folks feel, I say feel. Sometimes when somebody starts something, it's kind of like a contractor. The paving guy comes in after the dirt work guy's been there and he says, and the road cracks and they say, well, your pavement was, you didn't put it in a good manner. Well, the dirt guy didn't compact it enough. And so I just didn't, I didn't know how that would reflect and whether or not it'd be easier to continue with the current council or whether.
Well, we asked someone to step in a time of need,
Right.
and that person stepped in, and I think it would be a show of our good faith to have him continue with that process, and he seems to be doing a good job at it. Do we need a motion?
I would like to, definitely know that the board, I mean, it's a legal fee issue, however long this ends up going, depending on how long it goes, there will be,
And that's it.
there is an expense, of course, and, it's an hourly rate application either way,
Yeah, for either company it would be.
for either
Yeah.
company, whoever's handling it, so. And there is a variation there, I mean, $20 an hour or whatever, but.
I'm not very familiar with this. Does the zoning board want to keep the attorney?
I haven't actually, I mean, I didn't pointedly ask the chair. I do know that she's been in contact with the attorney on several different points since before and then since the hearing to make sure. So I can reach out to her and have her.
Again, I don't have a problem either way. Just my point is that we're early enough in the process that I think the town would not be losing either way.
I'll contact the attorney and see how he feels, if he feels comfortable just handing the reins over, or if he, you know.
Talk to the ZBA chair too.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay. All right?
Mhm.
Anything else on that issue? Next issue is, again, I'm gonna skip the tax deed properties for a bit, because it's gonna take a little longer discussion on that. Goal champion, what we said last time is we have, I think, 4 goals. I'm just quickly reviewing those: cyanobacteria mitigation, what I call strategic public works approach, personnel policy revision, and number 4, booty house, meeting house progress, if you will, significant progress. And what my experience is that when you have goals and objectives, nothing gets done unless you have somebody that's championing that goal and working towards that completion in a successful manner. So having said that, who wants to volunteer for which goal?
Okay, so we had booty house, personnel policy, cyanobacteria.
Strategic public works approach and personnel policies, cyanobacteria and booty house. Yeah.
DPW.
Those are the ones that, based on our discussion in the prior meeting, those are the ones that I kind of didn't know. First of all, did I miss any?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Okay.
So I will take on booty house, if that's okay.
Okay. Rod, which one would you
Well, if
like?
I'm on the cyanobacteria committee,
You'll do that one?
yeah.
Okay. I'll do personnel policy. We have a biggie left,
Which one?
the strategic public works approach.
Okay, I think that needs to be a joint
Uh,
approach.
I'll take the lead on that.
Okay.
I'm certainly willing to listen to somebody else that might want to join. But maybe the way to do it is for Scott and I to work that.
yeah, no, and same thing with the personnel policy, like I say,
Yeah.
I'll be able to
I mean, you got
kick a draft.
80% of the, 90% of the draft done, so.
Not
Yeah,
my area of expertise.
Okay, we're all set with that? Rod has the cyanobacteria mitigation goal. You have the booty house, meeting house, and/or, either or. But significant progress, you're gonna have to define what that is, and go from there. And then help both of them, or either one of them, or whatever it is that you find willing to work it. And I'll,
Rod doesn't look happy with all these committees.
That 2.5 years of no commitments.
Got to like it, didn't you?
I did.
you'll like this even better.
Oh, that's not good.
I'll be hoping that you'd probably like Art to be his alternate right about now.
Yeah. Alternate, no, you should have let me speak first.
All right, I'm gonna go into the old business and then come back to tax deeded properties, if that's okay. The old business policy review committee charge, I have one suggested change, and this could be then hopefully taken care of. It's on the second page of the item that was originally handed out on April 6th. We looked at it today again. It's on the second page, number 5. Estimated timeline and life of the committee to be reviewed by June 30th, 2017. I actually thought about April 20th, because that's what we're doing, so I don't mind that, but this really is forward-looking, so. Estimated timeline and life of the committee to be reviewed by June 30th, 2017, and subject to completion recommendations for the committee charge, and add the sentence, estimated ceasing of committee activity is July 31st, 17. That kind of puts a sunset to it. That doesn't mean that the committee comes back and says, I need another 2 weeks or something. Yeah, we'd be open to that, but not another 3 years. I guess
Well-
that's kind of the,
So would we make it August 31st? So that we're not going out 3 years, but we're giving them a little bit of time to go camping.
They can go camping together, you know? No, a joke.
Mr. Chair, could you recognize the member from the?
I could. I might even might. but
Will
yes.
you?
Yeah.
Can I ask what you know about what we've done so far?
Well, you know, I haven't attended all of them by any stretch, but I've attended, you know, 2 or 3 of the meetings.
Right.
Understand a little bit of what you've covered, but also understand what, at least my understanding of the mitigation agreements were. And clearly, it's not an ongoing multi-year committee,
Oh,
in my
no.
opinion. And I would like to see a positive outcome for it, for sure. But I don't want it to extend it, you know, as I said, much beyond, if it's August 31st, you know, I'm not gonna argue with 30 days, but,
You know, I don't want to say that
But-
everybody can do it, but the chairman, if I remember correctly, had talked about like more toward the end of the year.
yeah, and I'm trying to pull
And
that back.
I
don't
know,
want it to go,
well-
I don't want it to go that long.
The problem is that there's a couple of us that are tied up during the day, and
Right.
it makes it hard for everybody to get together.
I
We've
understand.
already lost about 6 weeks because
understand.
of the
I was prepared for that argument.
changeover, so,
I was prepared for that argument, but I understand, so that's what I say, if you say August 31st is better than July 31st, I could go with that.
it's,
I'm not real fond of going beyond that.
okay. Well, maybe you want to talk to the rest of the committee, but
Yeah, that's
we
fine.
can make our best effort, but I
You
don't know if we'll
you've
get
got
there.
a,
Yeah,
you know, selectman representative that can twist our arms.
well, he's got to do a little catch-up too, because
Sure.
we've now interviewed 3 departments that you'd have missed, so
Sure.
it's gonna take a little catch-up.
When
You
did we
gotta
get on
remember, it
this?
took 6 months to even get it started.
Understand,
So,
but it is, I mean, I think the original, what I looked at when I set this, by the way, what I looked at is when the original dates were
how
that we
long it
had.
was.
Right.
Mhm.
And what we've done is gone beyond that span of time in this setting. So that's why I want to pull it back. You know, I'm not comfortable at all having the end of the year. But if you say August 31st instead of July 31st, I'm okay with adding that right
Or,
What,
I don't
could we,
even mind October.
now. No, I don't want that one.
could we
Nice
tentatively,
try.
could we
I don't wanna go that one.
tentatively set it for the end of August, and at that point, if we're not done, we come back and give you an estimate?
No, we have
of where we
we have
are?
a review at the end of June, which is 2 months away. You have a review coming back to the Board of Selectmen at the end of June, according to what I've made the changes here.
Oh, is that of where we are? in the
Where you are, what the
process?
estimated timeline and all that
Okay.
is.
So that might work, though.
But as I said, I don't have a tolerance level into October. I am tolerant into August. Just give you a FYI. I'm not, and I don't speak for the whole board. I'm just
Yeah.
telling you my position.
Well, and I don't speak for the whole committee, I
Yeah.
just know that, you know, there's kids and,
Okay,
yeah, to work with.
we'll make that August 31st, and then those are my changes.
Okay.
Of course,
Did you wanna be
someone's gonna
recognized?
kinda what-
Pardon?
I think September.
August 31st, it is.
Nice try.
I just know,
Let's try.
having written lots of policies, the time it takes.
Again, look at the original, again, you have to go back to the original mitigation agreement of what the time frame was for that work to be
6 months.
completed. We're already well beyond that time.
We
Well,
didn't start
I believe-
meeting until January.
I understand,
I think it was 6 months originally,
I
wasn't it?
understand. Yeah, but what I'm saying, August 31st is well beyond that time.
Oh, right,
Yeah,
yeah.
so
And really.
that's why
I
I'm
mean,
not real
Yeah.
gung ho about September or October, is because looking at the original mitigation agreement, August 31st is beyond what that span of time was, so that's, you know, there's some rationale for where I'm coming from here.
Yeah, that,
So
and
it was
they
a
don't
re-
have to rewrite the policies. It's
Yeah.
only to
Right.
review and to provide comment. If it could be
Recommendations.
generalized in nature, I
Recommendations.
would not want the committee to be specific and go into great detail about it and rewrite it. You know, in that situation, yeah, I'd want you to just give
Didn't know
some
it was-
comment.
I didn't know that there was
I
a
didn't know I had.
So the original,
boundary in it.
Oh, yeah, yeah, it doesn't, it's only to provide comment on the policy.
I understand that, but I didn't realize that it limited us to very broad statements.
Well, I mean, I think that the people that are tasked to write the policies are in
Mhm.
fact the department heads. And if in fact, you know, to make comment, it would be comment, you know, I mean, you are not, the committee is not folks that are police officials or
Mhm.
fire officials or public works officials. And so the application of that, I would not look for the committee to provide that specific language relative to writing the policies. And that's not what the charge was.
Right.
So the agreement was signed on April 15th, 2016, and stipulates that members were to be appointed no later than May 15th, 2015? Is that right, 16?
I think, yeah.
16. And that
16 should have been.
the review and recommendation should be submitted by January 1st, 2017. So it
6
was, you know, just a little over
Over
6 months.
6 months, yep,
That's what, that's
right.
the rationale I had, and
Yeah.
I put another month or so on top
Well,
of
we've
that.
had a few,
Yeah,
I
we lost
understand,
some-
but I put another month or so on top of it, because recognizing you had a turnover here with,
Right.
anyway, you understand where I was coming from.
Yep,
Okay, anything else on that issue? Okay, moving ahead then, tax deeded properties, I'm going to suggest not a whole lot of discussion on this, but I will indicate to you that, and I've talked to Scott and talked to the tax collector and town clerk. The listing in the current annual report is not correct.
Oh.
Okay? I have made a copy of the annual report, and you'll see some handwritten notes on the right side. I do have a couple copies if anybody was interested. Some background here. We originally started, I originally started this process in 2014, and mostly Selectman Jarvis and I worked on this at that point, former Selectman Jarvis. And we went through a very extensive review of all available properties for sale at that time. Keep in mind it has to be in excess of 3 years, et cetera. There are certain regulations here. We also looked at properties that were not conforming and looked at ways to merge them to make them more conforming. And they actually had votes. If you look back on the October 20th, 2014 and October 29th, 2014 Board of Selectmen minutes, you'll see a very extensive list of what those actions are. In summary form, you'll see notes to the right of that table, or this table that I have from the annual report. You'll see things like says C2. C2, it's not listed on this, but C2 was voted to merge with lot 078, same
Okay.
map number, so that would be one lot, and that should have appeared here. That's what I've asked the town tax collector and town clerk to do, is go back and verify that indeed all of the merging actions that were voted on have been done, A. B, provide a listing of those new lots that are available for potential sale. Update the assessed value, because the assessed value is not the most recent valuation from our most recent process. This is from these numbers are 2014 numbers. So I've asked her to update that. Following the rationale here of, again, if you look on C5, look down almost to the end, you'll see C5. One's 14.9 and one's 15.2. Those are not correct numbers, but I'll give you the line numbers. Those two lots were to be merged. Okay? You'll see C3 and C3 right up above C3. Those lots are to be merged. So C is the combination or combine,
Okay.
and then the 6 number matches to where it's supposed to combine, or the 4 number or whatever. There's one that actually, C6 has 4 lots. Okay? That were going to be merged into a more conforming lot. So I've asked her, just an FYI, why I'm going to suggest we postpone further discussion on this until the next meeting, is I've asked her to go back, verify the merging, come up with a new list, give me a new assessed value, give us a new assessed value, et cetera, et cetera.
What does that say?
Okay, yeah.
Looks like spinal.
No, special.
Special.
Yeah.
Can't read his writing.
No.
Surprise, surprise, right?
Thought it was a medical term.
It may be the time we're done, but, I'll cover that in a second if you want.
Okay.
I'm still trying to figure out where the Cs connect on this. They don't,
No,
Yeah, anything that has a C is
combined.
gonna be combined with something.
oh, yeah,
It's gonna be combined, if it's a C2, it's good, well, it's not a bad example. If it's a
C2.
C5, it's gonna be combined with another C5, or wherever C5s.
I
Wherever
get it.
C5s on this list,
We'll
on my
talk
handwritten
about it
list.
after school.
On my handwritten list.
hey, as long as you explained it to Donna and her and
They have
Stephanie got it
copies.
figured out, I'm good.
So, as I said, I'm gonna ask postponing of more in-depth discussion on that with two caveats. One is, we'll wait for that, updated listing that I've asked for, town clerk and town tax collector to do that. Number two is look at the October 20th, 2014 and October 29th, 2014 minutes. They're on the website, they're online. You'll find out all of the detail on that. To answer your question on the special. The special is covered under those minutes. It's, what's the lot number on it?
209.
209046. 60. There it is. It's actually going to be on page 2 of the October 20th minutes. This is a 54-acre parcel over by Shaw's Pond, which we had voted to allow abutters to purchase a certain portion to make their lots more conforming and more accessible, and then the balance would go into potentially a conservation type easement situation. So that's why I say it's a special deal. But look back in the minutes on October 20th for that decision. Okay?
And I did attach with that any correspondences that I've had relative to people that are abutters that have interest in properties.
And I actually have that too, that we should compare our correspondence because I may have more complete.
Okay.
I'm not sure what your files were, that you.
Yeah, I mean,
How you
these are
inherited.
ones since I've been here.
I don't know how you inherited, so I have maybe more complete files.
Yeah.
So, is what you're trying to find out is have the abutters take a part of this property?
No, I'm not having the, but we're not to that level yet. What I want you to do for preparation for the next one is look at the list, wait for the new ones that verify the merging is all done, or saying that these have not all been done, we need another 3 weeks to do them or whatever, and then understand which ones merged, where they are. Then we can look at what the process should be, whether we contact the butters again. I mean, it's been 2 years, 3 years now. And there's been some additional properties added to it because, 3 years later, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But what I want you to do is look at those that are lined in combination, wait for the spreadsheet or whatever tax collector and town clerk will provide and the updated assessment, and think about how you want to approach. Keep in mind that there was a suggested policy that Scott provided for us. It's not enacted yet, but that's a suggested policy. But think about how you want to approach it once all that data is verified. Okay? That clear as mud? All set?
Yeah.
Lucille? All
Yep,
set?
I think so.
You understand what was in that? What the Cs, dash,
Yes, oh, yeah.
numbers mean?
That's clear.
Okay. And if you would put the tax deeded properties on the next agenda, I'd appreciate that.
So marked for to do.
Okay, anything else?
You reminded me of something. Dot, does the rec still maintain the beach area out on Shaw's Pond?
On Shaw's
Oh,
Pond?
Is it on Shaw's Pond?
And Shaw's Pond, no.
No.
No, just the town beach.
Just a town beach on Merrimack.
No, I know, but we had when we went to do the Merry Meeting beach, we learned that we had property on
On Shaw's
Shaw's
Pond.
that was a public
Public
beach.
beach.
Is that where the road goes in between the houses down to the
Yes.
beach where the sand is?
Yes,
It's always been open to the public, because
Right.
we've gone down there, but I didn't realize the town owned it.
yeah, it's part of the rec.
Oh. I wonder
Well,
if
that's-
they're aware of that.
That's exactly what I said 15, 20 years ago. Oh,
Well, I remember we were told that we
Yes.
didn't- by some people that we didn't need a beach, we already had one.
right,
Mm,
which is about 20 feet wide.
yeah.
But it's a nice little
It
beach.
is, it's a nice little
Yeah.
spot.
That's under the auspices of the Recreation Commission.
Oh.
That's what I said.
You might need, are you familiar with it?
I know roughly.
You might want to take him, because it's hard to find the road now, because there's so many, the houses are right up close to it, and,
Okay.
yeah.
You're on. Okay.
Road
It's
trip.
nice that way, don't cut it open.
No, yeah,
Keeps a lot of people out of there, because I'm on Shaw's Pond.
yeah.
A lot of people don't know it exists.
Yeah.
You wanna keep it that way?
Yeah,
It's nice and quiet.
It is. It's a nice spot, though.
it's a nice little one.
It is.
But we didn't, I don't remember now when we did the town beach, how many years ago that was, 10, 12 or
The
more?
town beach?
Yeah.
No, it's longer than that.
Is it?
A lot longer.
So I went right out there.
We all
to
know the
look.
feeling.
Yeah, I went right out there to look. I was very pleased with it, but I thought, it's just not what we need for the town beach.
My youngest is 24. He was in a stroller when the town beach went in.
Don't tell me that.
No, can't do that.
That is-
I've owned 24 years, and it was not a town beach when I bought.
No,
It
it
was about
was
2
just
years
about
later.
that. Yeah, he
about
just
2
was
years
in a
later,
stroller.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
Mhm.
good, you've been 2 years older, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else under the business other than minutes? Okay, minutes. First up, minutes of April 6th.
Rod needs that.
You gave me my copy
I gave
already.
you.
so.
Okay.
So these have, I got track changes from Swen's, so these are Swen's edits.
Okay, anybody changes?
I'm just finishing reading through.
Pardon?
There's none that I see.
Nope,
None that I see.
it looks fine by me.
Okay, need a motion?
Make a
To be
motion.
as amended, by the way.
Yep, I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of April 6, 2017 as amended.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, those opposed, is carried 3-0. Then, April 11th.
You have the 11th.
I think we
Did
have.
you have changes to do?
I did. Well, actually, let's see, April 11th, maybe not. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think so, anything gonna change.
The,
on that.
Yeah, because all it is they're going in to
Yeah.
non-public and
Right.
coming out of
Yeah.
non-public.
So I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of April 11th.
I'll second that.
Actually, it's approved rather than accept.
Okay,
Approved.
approved.
Yeah, and you'll second that.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay. It doesn't
getting-
have-
I'm
it doesn't have to be in
I'm
order.
still trying to remember what committees.
Those opposed is carried 3-0. All right,
That's
April
correct.
13th. I think I did have changes on this.
Yes,
one.
you did. Yep. Oh, sorry.
You all set?
Yes.
No. Are you all set?
Yes.
Okay. Any further changes? Okay, look for a motion.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes of April 13th, 2017 as amended.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, it's carried 3-0. Except for non-public minutes, which we did not have a chance to address in the non-public session, we only have left to set a time for the next non-public to finish off the performance evaluation reviews, et cetera.
You have one set of minutes that was not sealed on the 6th.
You're right.
If you want to do
You're
those,
right, you're right. Not sealed. Okay.
so I can give you a copy.
There's some minor changes, actually, there's some changes on
That's
this one,
just
yes.
some stuff in the beginning of the body. Who came in, who went out, who came in. Scott came in, but he left. Pretty straightforward.
I'm okay with this.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
This, you were there, right?
Yes.
Yep, this is your first one. Okay, sorry.
I'll make a motion to approve the non-public meeting minutes of April 6th, 2017 as amended.
Second?
Second.
Second?
Although I'm not listed on here, maybe I wasn't here for the 6th.
On the 6th, this
Yeah.
was done before. Rob was
Yeah.
at
It
the
was
second.
before.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was at the
That's
second
what-
one.
So I will second that. That's why I asked.
Yeah, you're right.
This was your first meeting, but I think it was after the fact.
That's correct.
This was before the fact, I should say.
That's right.
So I will second that. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? And we have one abstention. Okay, it's carried 2-0 with one abstention. So we only have the one non-public left, which we'll do the next time. So as I said, the key thing now is to set a date for the next non-public, which I'm gonna guess would be about a 2-hour session.
Okay. So let's look, we are,
Our next regularly scheduled meeting is May 4th, I think, right? Yep.
yeah, I'd like to get them done before then.
Right.
What's everybody's schedules look like next week?
Well, I'm not sure, it's a school vacation week, so I'm not
Okay.
quite sure what my schedule will be. The only thing I know now is, oh, actually, everything's clear, because even my volunteering at the school won't happen because there's no
Nothing
school.
new.
Yeah.
And, during the day would be okay?
Yeah,
Or
yes.
be preferable, or
Yeah,
preferable during the
definitely.
day?
Early morning or
oh, early morning's fine with me.
fine with me?
I'm up at 5, 6 o'clock. So.
Well, I am too, but you don't wanna look at me then.
Wednesday actually works the best for me. Monday, I've got a pretty rugged schedule.
Wednesday the 26th?
Wednesday, the 26th.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yep.
What time works for you guys? What time you in?
I can be here anytime. I'm
What do
usually
you
here by
usually get?
8:30.
We'll go for 9 o'clock?
Yep.
Is that okay, Rob?
Right now, yes.
Give you time to mosey around
I
and
haven't talked to
see
the
what's
boss yet.
shaking.
And let Scott know if you have a problem. You'll post it, Scott, accordingly?
Yes.
All right. Anything else? Looking for a final motion?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second?
Second.
No discussion on motions to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, it is carried 3-0. The time is out. It is 9:31.